Okay, so this right here, I've already shaped to show you guys. That is our final shape. So we are going to take one of our pre-shaped lengths of dough. Here, I gotta move you guys a little bit. I can't work so far away from myself. Okay, that's better. Sorry, you guys are shaking so much. There we go. Okay, so this is seam up. Seam up. Again, just, I mean, ever so light coating on here. I can just barely get any on my hands. You don't want excess dough in here. Or flour, excuse me. If you feel like you have excess flour on the outside of this, dust it off. Seriously important. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to degas it just a little bit. Then, since we have it already elongated, we don't need to do a ton of folding. We're just going to do a single fold before we start tapping it down with the palm of our hand. So we're going to take the dough at the top edge, fold it over like that. You still want a little edge left open down here. And press down. Okay. Now, if you're right-handed, you're going to tuck with your left thumb and press with your right palm. Well, right heel, excuse me. If you're left-handed, you're going to do it the opposite, and you're always going to start on the side of your dominant hand. So, I'm going to take my left thumb on my right side near my right hand. I'm going to tuck my thumb in, and I'm going to press this down here. I'm going to go much quicker, but okay. If you feel like you're getting tacky, get a little bit of flour on your hands. You don't want tackiness, because if you have tackiness, you're going to tear your dough, and that's just mean. We don't want to do that. And we're going to do that one more time. Okay. So now we have a nice seam. And make sure your hands, again, just have a little bit of flour on them, and you're going to roll ever so gently. The way Jeffrey Hamelman describes it is keeping your hand cupped so that your fingertips are always touching the board, your heel is always touching the board, and you're cupped. And he says, you know, it's really hard to kind of describe how much pressure you put on it, but it's the sweetest thing. Bakers really are tender people. It's very sweet. He said, think about having a loved one and how you would put your hand on their arm. You would put it there gently and you would cup it, but you would still have a little bit of firm pressure to let them know, you know, that there's some affection there. So he says do it that way. So start by rolling that. You'll have a little dip in the center. Then two hands, same thing, rolling outwards, tapered at your ends. And try and keep them about the same length. Now we're going to rest these on the board, seam up. Here's my seam. So I'm going to put that there. And again, these are going to sit here for about an hour and a half. Normally we would use this cloth thing called a couche to rest these in and bunch up the couche in between them and have them on a board so we can move them around. Not many people actually have a couche in their home kitchen. So we're not using a couche. Pressing down, folding in. My shape was a little bit off when I originally shaped it, so I've got kind of this peanut shape. You want to avoid peanut shapes because then you end up with peanut shaped baguettes, and nobody wants a peanut shaped baguette. Yeah, a little bit more bench flour. I'm turning. You're going to do this little turn and tuck twice. Don't get in the habit of pinching seams like that. Just get a better pat on it. It's already a little thin in the center, so I'm not going back in and pulling it anymore at the center. Again, don't overwork. There's my seam. Seam up. I'm actually going to rearrange my cutting board a little bit here. Move this guy. Not really comfortable with moving it, but I'm going to anyways. Once you place it, you should just let it go. See, these two are kind of awkward shaped. Let's get this next one. Let's make it perfect. Now, if you're getting sticky stuff on your board, that's when you want to get your bench knife. Get that off of there. Just like you don't want stickiness on your hands, you don't want stickiness on your board either. One more tuck and press. Hi, Munchie.
Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm making a baguette. Can you say hi to everyone? They're in there, but can you say hi to them? Say hi, everyone. Hi. Seam up. Second to last one. Seam up still on this. Hope you guys can still see what I'm doing here. Can you? I'll move up a little bit.
Hey, I'm going to take something.
Yes, this is a technique. This is something that's not easy to do at first. And to be honest, I'm out of practice for about 5 years, even though it is kind of like riding a bike. I did so many of these in culinary school that I almost can't forget how to do this. This one wasn't pinched as tight. We'll pray for the best. Now, we have this little mini one that I did. Here, I'm going to move this off to the side so I can work a little better. We have this tiny little mini one that I did in a round. You're going to shape this slightly differently than we did that. Those we were able to kind of just fold once and then start pressing and pushing out. This, hey, hang on a sec, okay? Again, you're going to degas, but you're going to pull it a little bit. Now that's a pastry brush, honey. You're going to pull it a little bit oblong as you're degassing. Now our gluten structure in here is kind of wanting to be in a circle, whereas when we shaped these ones, we already gave it the east-west orientation, so we didn't have to do as much to convince our gluten structure to want to hang out and move that way. We have to do a little more convincing with this one. So we're going to pull in only about 1/3 of the way with this one. Then we're going to degas a little bit more. Flip it around and do it again. Okay. And now this one we are only going to tuck and turn after we've done 2 of those. One more. And you don't want to go harder than your dough wants you to. You'll start to feel resistance in your dough if you're asking too much of it. And if you're asking too much of it, don't force it. If you force it, you're going to damage the gluten. Okay, so we've got our seam down there. This one's just going to be a slightly shorter baguette. Yeah, you don't want to eat that flour. It's flour, baby. All right, and there's that one. Now again, I am going to take these and I'm going to very lightly cover them with some paper towels. If we were doing this in a big bake shop, we'd be using big couches, which are baker's linens. I'm just going to lay some plastic over purely to keep those kind of sitting down. Maybe if I can stretch out my plastic.
Yeah.
Maybe, right, baby?
Yeah.
Crazy guy. Okay. Yes, I know. All right, so we're going to let that sit there. Now we've got an hour and a half. Now we've got an hour and a half rest time. So I am going to set my timer. This is the hard part, because you know that as soon as this is over, you put it in the oven, and then it's only 24 to 26 minutes away from bread gloriousness. Hey, don't play with my bench flour. Can you say hi to everyone? Say hi. No? You said hi before. Say hi. No! How dare you, Mommy? Okay, so an hour and a half. Our desired final dough temperature is about 76 degrees. Since it started out at 78 before we pre-shaped, and then we made it into... Limon says hi to you. Can you say hi? Can you wave? No. Leland. Okay. Leland says hi to you. I thought we had another little joiner. So since we portioned it and it's no longer the big mass that it is, it's smaller, it's going to be more apt to want to lose its temperature, which is a good thing right now because we were a little higher than 76. So hopefully these will come down to about 76 degrees from 78, and it will be at its DDT, desired dough temperature. What are you doing? Are you rolling things? Make sure you stay off my cutting board. Oh, yeah, look at that devilish little grin. Rawr. Okay, so, well, now an hour and 29 minutes from now, come on back and we'll put stuff in the oven. In the meantime, you are going to want to preheat your oven. If you have a pizza stone, I should show you my pizza stone. Can you hang on one second? Hang on one second. I'll show you my pizza stone. You say cute things to the camera? No? Okay. All right, you guys are just going to look at my ceiling for a minute. I keep my pizza stone stored on top of my fridge, but I keep it tightly wrapped in plastic all the time because it's not one of those often used, you know, things. And I don't have one of those nice little sideways cabinet drawers to store like baking sheets and stuff on its side. It's a little too heavy for what I want to put in my baking rack. So I just keep it covered in plastic. And I put it on top of my fridge. Okay, let's have a look. Pizza stone. Yes, it's taken some wear and tear, but this is what pizza stones do. This is the sign of a good, well-used, seasoned pizza stone. This is what the inside of deck ovens look like too in hearths. So this is perfectly fine. It's completely clean. These are just little burn marks. Why tightly wrapped? So that the plastic doesn't stick to stuff. Who wants shaggy who wants shaggy plastic on it? And then you don't have it catching on things and stuff like that. I say tightly wrapped mostly because I was trying to tear the tightly wrapped stuff off and it wasn't coming off easily. So when you preheat your oven, you need to preheat it starting with your stone in it. A lot of people bust. I see so many awful reviews for pizza stones, like on Amazon and stuff. This thing broke the first time I used it. Well, you know what? It's because you turned your oven up to 500 degrees, waited till it preheated, then you put a cold pizza stone in it. That's not how we do things. Middle rack of your oven. Put your pizza stone in. Yeah, I gotta sweep out that bottom. Put your pizza stone in, and you preheat with it in there. Okay? Heat with that in there. You also, if you're baking at home and you don't have a steamer, every one of us, get yourself out a sheet tray, cookie tray, sheet tray of some sort, not with the non-stick stuff on it. I don't have one. There it is. And we will be putting that in the oven as well, just before we put in our baguettes. So have this at the ready. Have ice cubes at the ready. Have your pizza stone at the ready. If you don't have a pizza stone, then yes, use one of these with a with parchment. Parchment would probably be the best option.